I'd say two of the most hyped trail running shoes of 2025 so far have to be the brilliant La Sportiva Prodigio Pro and the very popular VJ Ultra 3. And just so happens that these are two of my favourites as well, and I've spent a lot of time out there running on the trails in both of them, including my recent 12-hour race Farmageddon, where I actually spent 6 hours in both shoes. So I've now clocked up 105 miles in the Ultra 3s and 86 miles in the Prodigio Pro. So I thought it was about time we brought you one of our classic head-to-head videos. So let's jump in and see which one of these popular trail running shoes comes out on top. How's everyone doing out there? I hope you are all fit and well. I'm Lo Purvis and this is Run4Adventure, your friendly, informative, running related YouTube channel. Now, we always enjoy bringing you these head-to-head videos, and this is one that a lot of you guys have been asking for. So I'm going to jump straight in with some facts and figures about the two shoes, which just so happen to be very similar. So first up, price point, and the La Sportiva Prodigio Pro retails here in the UK for £170. Now, that is a lot of money, but I actually think it's a pretty fair price when you take into consideration the performance of this shoe. However, the VJ Ultra 3s are slightly more affordable at £160. So when it comes down to price, the VJs just take it. It's another close battle when it comes down to the all-important weight, and I'm actually happy to see that both trail shoes have been kept to under 300 grams, which personally I think is a really good thing. So the VJs in my UK 9.5 are 298 grams, whereas I did go up half a size in the Prodigio Pros to a UK 10, like I always do in a La Sportiva shoe, because I do find that they size pretty small. So I would definitely recommend going up at least half a size if you are thinking about purchasing a pair of the Prodigio Pros. However, my pair in that UK 10 tip the scales a slightly lighter 282 grams. So again, not a lot in it when it comes down to overall weight. Moving down to the midsole setup of the two shoes, and we've actually got a 38mm stack height on the heel, 30mm under the forefoot, giving the Ultra 3s an 8mm heel offset. And I'd say that's about as high as I'd want to go when it comes to the offset of my trail running shoes, whereas these have a 34-28 split on that stack height, giving the Prodigio Pro a 6mm drop, and that's kind of a sweet spot for me. I think 6mm is a good height, especially if I'm running distance. Gives me that little bit of lift to help when I'm fatiguing, but it's not too dominant that I notice it too much. When it comes down to fit and upper performance, again, there is some similarities between these two trail shoes, but for me, there is one that outperforms the other in this department, and it just seems to work really well for my foot shape. But I haven't had any discomfort issues in either of the uppers, so no rubbing, hot spots or blisters or anything like that. And they've both given me a very nice, secure feeling lockdown around my midfoot. The VJs from their very clever Fit Lock technology, and with the Prodigio Pro, it comes from that nice, stretchy sort of woven internal liner. I would say that the Ultra 3 does offer a slightly wider toe box, so if you've got quite a wide foot shape or you just like a lot of wiggle room up front, maybe this would be a better option for you. However, for my foot shape, the Prodigio Pro had plenty of width in that toe box, so I didn't have any issues with that. Also, both uppers gave me a really good hold in the heel, so I didn't have any slippage or movement while I was running, and comfort levels have been good, so no issues in either shoe. But if I did have to pick one out of the two, I think I would have to go for this clever power wire mesh design on the Prodigio Pro. You know, I think it looks very durable, it's been nice and breathable, but also having that soft internal wrapping system, it does give you that sort of sock-like feel, so I felt very secure and connected to the shoe. I also like the fact that La Sportiva worked in these sort of ribs of zonal padding down that tongue area. They just offer a nice bit of comfort across the top of your foot when you pull those laces down tight, whereas the Ultra 3s were lacking in that department. So this comes with a very thin tongue design, and I think it did let the shoe down a bit when it comes to comfort, especially on some of my longer runs. So I would like to see them work a little strip of padding down the center of that tongue, maybe in future versions of the shoe. Now, there's definitely been a mixed response as far as the Ultra 3's midsole is concerned. So I've had quite a bit of sort of negative feedback, and some runners saying that the level of cushioning felt great straight out of the box, but then when they hit the 100-mile mark, it seemed to collapse in the midsole and the shoe felt quite flat to run in. Now, this is one of the main reasons I wanted to make sure that I got 100 miles in these first before we filmed this video, because I wanted to see if the same thing happened to my pair. So I guess the question is, now that I have run over 100 miles in them, what do I think? Well, I personally think that it does feel like that midsole has lost a bit of bounce, you know. Don't get me wrong, I don't feel like it's completely collapsed and the shoe's running flat, but I do feel that that supercritical EVA has lost a bit of energy return. Now, still comfortable underfoot, but it's definitely not as bouncy when I first started running in them, and I don't think that's a great thing after only 105 miles. Whereas 86 miles running these, and I'd say they still feel pretty much the same as when I took them out on that first run. So the midsole's giving me good levels of comfort underfoot, feels like it's delivering good levels of energy return, and they're still an exciting shoe to lace up and run in. I know I've done less miles in these, but I don't think that midsole feeling is going to change much over the next 19 miles. The one thing I would say, obviously we've got a deep stack of soft cushioning, so I think the Ultra 3s do feel a little bit more stable underfoot when I picked up any more sort of technical sections of trails. But for me, I prefer the ride and performance I got from the midsole setup in these. I just found them more responsive and more exciting to run in, and actually when I changed shoes over halfway through the 12-hour event, I really did notice the lack of bounce when I had the Ultra 3s on my feet. So the Prodigio Pro has to come out on top in our midsole performance battle. Softer, bouncier, more exciting to run in, but more importantly, I think with La Sportiva using that blend of EVA and TPU in that midsole construction, they're also going to be more durable. And finally, the all-important outsole performance, and this is actually something that the VJ brand has become well known for, and their tagline is the best grip on the planet, and I've got to say it, outsole performance has been excellent. So this butyl rubber is nice and sticky, it's really confidence boosting when you're running in wet rocky conditions, and even though it's only got a 4.5mm lug depth, the lug design is pretty chunky, they're nicely spaced so it doesn't cling onto the mud and it clears it quickly. So the levels of traction I've got from this outsole in muddy conditions have actually been a lot better than I thought it would be. And it's been a very similar story with the friction white rubber outsole on the Prodigio Pro. Now, I've always found that La Sportiva rubber tends to perform well when you're running on wet rocky trails, offers a good level of grip, but we do have that slightly shallower 4mm lug depth. So I wouldn't say that I've got the same level of traction when I've been running in muddy conditions that I got with the Ultra 3s. But one thing that really has surprised me with the outsole on these is I have got quite a bit of wear on the lugs on the outside of the heel there. And you know, I've done 105 miles in the shoe, predominantly on the trails. Obviously a bit of tarmac here and there, but most of it on the trails. And I think that's quite a lot of wear for that sort of mileage. Whereas on the Prodigio Pro, hardly anywhere. So, you know, them lugs are holding up well. So I would say that the friction white rubber is actually looking a bit more durable than the butyl rubber. And that's something I really wasn't expecting. So rounding up, I've actually enjoyed running in both shoes and I will continue to do so, but you've probably already realized that I have a clear favorite, and yes, it is the Prodigio Pro from La Sportiva. You know, I really do love the fit and feel of this clever upper design with this durable power wire mesh outer skin and then that nice soft, plush, flexible internal wrapping system, you know, fits my foot shape like a glove and I feel super connected to the shoe. And then we have this X-Flow Speed midsole setup that's offered me just the right balance of comfort, performance and protection. And like I mentioned, I do feel like I have to concentrate a bit harder if I pick up any sort of more technical trails because, you know, whenever you put a deep stack of soft cushioning under someone's foot, you're gonna lose a bit of ground feel and connection. Now, you know, I wouldn't say stability is terrible, and I've definitely run in some less stable trail running shoes, that is for sure, but I really do feel that the Prodigio Pro has put the Sportiva brand on the map when it comes to performance-driven ultra-distance trail running shoes, and I think this is a really important trail shoe for them, and I'm very excited to see what they come up with next. And on that note, it brings today's head-to-head video to an end. Really hope you enjoyed it. Really hope you found it helpful in some way. Don't forget, if you did, to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, as it is a big help to the channel. And also, what do you think about the outcome? Do you think I got it right when it comes down to these two shoes? Or have you run in both of them and you completely disagree with everything I said? Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. We'll be back here soon with some more interesting running content. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. Is slightly lighter at 282 grams. So so again, 282 grams. Delivering good levels of energy return, and also something else. What was it? My mind has gone blank. Whereas 86 miles running these, and I'd say they still feel pretty much the same as when I took them out for their first run. So really comfortable underfoot, feels like it's delivering good levels of energy. There's a glitch in the matrix.